Hey guys, I'm Anne and I'm the lead student minister here at Traders Point. And today I want to sit down with my friend Monica to talk through how to parent your teen during COVID-19. Not because she's an expert in COVID-19, but because she is a mental health therapist who works with a lot of teens and parents and adults and just has a ton of wisdom. And so Monica is a college friend of mine, and I've just been so thankful for her insights and wisdom, especially into adolescence. And I know that you guys did not see this coming as far as this being a part of your parenting journey. And so we just want to talk through today what it looks like to parent teens during this time and some help and hopefully some hope of how to do this and do it well so that you can look back on this time and not be full of regret. And it's okay if you've got a little bit, but we just want to give you some help. So Monica, talk to us a little bit. Let's just start out with what is different. There are things that are probably obvious, but what is different about this season of teens' lives and what makes their experience of this pandemic unique than to other people?
Sure. Yeah. So adolescence is something that we are learning more and more about every day from a developmental standpoint and neuroscience standpoint. But they are in this stage where they are much more attuned to their social status and feeling like these feelings of belonging with their peers becomes much more critical. It's biological, like it's part of the developmental part of their brain that is preparing them to actually leave home one day. So separation from their peers is much more stressful during adolescence than it is for me or you, right? And so basically during the stay-at-home time, it's been like saying that they're in isolation, like they're in solitary confinement. And so I miss my friends, but I don't feel panicky about it. And if teens aren't with their friends, they feel panicky about it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the social distancing is way against developmentally what they're supposed to be doing right now. And then also during adolescence, it's their developmental job to individuate from their caregivers. Painful for parents, but necessary for teens. Like they're trying to grow in their autonomy and sense of freedom, and being trapped at home, like with their parents, and I even hesitate to use that word trapped, right. But that's how they're feeling right now. It makes them feel like they're being treated like children. It goes against this core developmental path. And it creates this huge motivational conflict for them because they're supposed to be out exploring their own limits and abilities and the boundaries that you set in order to develop their own identity. Like it is so frustrating when they, push against those boundaries, but it's a part of their path of becoming independent young adults. It's critical for them to discover their purpose and passions, like having a grounded sense of self and high self-esteem, or to make their faith their own. Like this is a part of how they make their faith their own and how they get high self-esteem is that they go out into the world and take risks and attach to their peers more and find out what they really care about. So this, like the chemistry of their brain is just also super different. So the dopamine levels are much more sensitive. This means that, so when their dopamine is triggered, its levels raise really high very quickly. It's like a car with a really sensitive gas pedal, if you think about it that way. So, but on the flip side of that, when their dopamine levels aren't activated, when they don't feel like the sense of entertainment or enjoyment, their baseline levels are much lower than adults and children. So meaning when your teen says that they're bored, like they are really bored. They feel that boredom much stronger than you and I feel that. So if you're hearing that, they're really bored.
I'm sure that you're hearing that. So I think it could be easy to hear all of that and feel overwhelmed.
Yes.
So what tips would you give or do you give to help parents help their teens?
Yeah, the first thing I would say is to emphasize social distancing with them, because teens are more prone to engage in risk-taking behaviors during this stage of life, especially when it involves their peers, because parts of their brain, like the parts of their brain that handle planning and impulse control, doesn't completely mature until 25. Some actually say until 30. But it's not completely developed. So their ability to control their impulses is much lower. And it would be normal for them to want to disregard social distancing rules to connect with their peers. It's like the old saying, would you jump off a bridge if your friends did? It's super relevant here, because assume the answer is yes, teens would, because those emotional parts of their brain and connecting with peers is so important to them that they will react on their emotional impulses much more quicker than those cognitive parts of their brain. So they are more prone to engage in risk-taking behaviors. So emphasizing that social distancing is super important right now, but also showing understanding for their frustration about not being able to see their friends or go out like they used to. Try not to belittle their experience or dismiss their responses, because this could hurt your relationship with them and actually backfire. A simple, like, this really sucks, can go a really long way with them. And just validate their disappointment in the canceled events and missed opportunities with their friends. I know it's super frustrating to hear your teens not be comfortable with these canceled events and things, because you're going through it too, right? Like, you are feeling the weight of all of this. And validation doesn't necessarily mean that you have to agree with how they're feeling, but it does mean that you can say to them, that makes sense to me, or something like, I can understand why you feel that way. Just saying that to them actually creates a connection between you and your teen that can then help you problem solve in the future.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good, because I do think for some parents it's been hard. I'm sure for a lot of you, if you're in the wake of losing a job, or, trying to figure out finances or something, or helping care for a relative, it can feel like a teen complaining about not seeing their friends is not a big deal. And so I think that empathy piece is really, really important. So
I mean, you don't have to agree with it per se, but you can say, hey, I can understand this. And maybe one way to address their need to connect right now with their peers, because they still need it, it hasn't gone away, while also respecting the social distancing piece, is to be a little more relaxed on screen time usage during this time, so they can connect with their peers. Before all of this hit, like, I was giving presentations, doing workshops with parents about how to set boundaries around screen time, because of the negative effects that it has on teens' brains and actually creating meaningful relationships. But know that all screen time is not the same. There's a big difference between them FaceTiming with their friends and spending 9 hours playing Xbox isolated in their room. So a good rule of thumb to think about is, like, is the technology use a way to numb out difficult emotions, much like alcohol or drug use, right? Like, that disengaging from those difficult emotions, or is it a means to create and connect and innovate? Because the second part is much healthier way to use technology.
Yeah, that's a good way to differentiate between using technology just to, like, consume and be numb, and using it to connect with other people. Yeah, that's good.
It's also really important right now to support their needs for autonomy and competence and relatedness. So if any of these are thwarted, their motivation to defy, like, your game plan or push back in some way will shoot way up.
Interesting. So autonomy, you said autonomy, competence,
autonomy, and relatedness.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe if I break this down a little bit. So, like, for autonomy, make sure that they have some amount of freedom. Don't use, like, controlling language with them. ask them what their plan is. This is just a good way to relate with teens all of the time, because if they feel like that controlling language come up, they will push back because they're trying to create themselves as individuals. So ask them questions and give them choices. And once you remove their choice and introduce the element of force, you're setting yourself up for rebellion, essentially. So make sure you're giving them choices and autonomy. And then for the confidence piece, make sure you're not treating them like little kids. They wake themselves up. Like, they should be in charge of their own schedule, and they're having real responsibilities, like keeping common spaces clean, maybe even helping with the dishes or helping with cooking, giving them a sense of responsibility. If you know they're passionate about something, maybe create space for them to use those skills and passions in service of the people in your home or in the community. It gives them the sense of like, oh, I'm good at this. And that if they have that sense of competence, they will go with the game plan much more. And then for relatedness, so we're all doing this together. Get honest with them, like about how you're feeling and how frustrated you are with the way things are right now, and how you're managing those feelings. Create space for fun and playfulness too. So maybe get out puzzles and games, or watch a concert online, or have a checkers tournament. Just create space for your family to connect, but don't force them to engage.
I feel like those 3 rules are probably always helpful.
Yeah.
And then especially helpful right now. That's really, really, really good. Yeah. So a lot of young people are struggling with being out of school. How can parents help them? I mean, again, we've only got a couple weeks left as we're recording this, but how can parents help those who are struggling being out of school?
Yeah. And even as they go out of school, I think some of these things will still be relevant, because they won't be as busy with homework and things like that. But no one expected for parents to have to take the role of teachers. Like, man, I just feel for parents right now having to like juggle work and also their children's schooling. So teens are a bit more independent maybe than little ones, but they still need your help. So support remote schooling by helping them create a realistic schedule for getting work done in defined periods, or building breaks and times for socializing into their day, or exercising, or entertainment, just helping them create some sort of schedule. So because your teen's pretty used to being their day being scheduled out for them between school and extracurriculars, like it all just kind of falls in place. But now all of that's gone, and they may need your help developing some sort of routine. And if you aren't sure where to start with them, like I would suggest sticking with something similar to what they had before. So if they had a math class from 10 to 10:50, to do the work for that class during that time. If they woke up at 7 every day, encourage them to continue that schedule, waking up at 7 every day. So this doesn't work for every teen, but try to encourage healthy habits, because some teens really do like, and they thrive working on homework until 1 a.m. I was never one of those teens, but if they aren't also working in time to connect with other people, or exercising, that can be a problem. And the best way, right, because I just said don't force them to do anything. Yeah, encourage them. And the best way to do that is to model it for them and yourself. So it is super easy right now to sleep in or to keep your sweatpants on all day, but that might not be what's best for your mental health right now. You don't necessarily have to dress up in what you dressed up in when you went to work every day, but try maybe putting on jeans or a top and sticking with some sort of schedule yourself and making sure that you're exercising. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really, really good.
Yeah.
It's hard to do even as an adult, but I know that I am better when I do it.
Yeah. It just puts your mindset in a different place.
Yeah.
And so if problems do arise, whether about the schedule or school or friends, if they come to you and they want help with something, or they're expressing that they're frustrated, or they're feeling hopeless, or they don't know what to do, collaborate to problem solve with them so that they can flex their creative brains to be motivated to make changes. Because telling them what to do without giving them a choice often backfires.
Mm-hmm.
And it also thwarts their ability to learn how to problem solve on their own.
Mm-hmm.
So
Which
this
is,
is a great,
yeah, they need to figure that
yeah,
out right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So this is a great opportunity for them to learn this skill that they're going to need to learn as they go into adulthood and college anyway. Um, so yeah, don't force anything, but even though, spending time, because yeah, even though, right, spending time with your family is going to benefit them, if they feel forced, they're going to push back to
Mm-hmm.
gain that independence. You have to work with their existing motivations and be patient. So let them take the lead and step in when necessary. When they show frustration or seem stuck, use invitation and also challenge. So offer them support by inviting them to sit down with you and saying, like, I'm here for you, I'm here to help. And identify the problem and also identify solutions. Then challenge your team to question, like, what is in your control? What are you committed to? Or what steps do you need to take to solve this problem? Like, what do you want to try? What do you want to try to solve this? And then do some experiment and see if it worked. If it didn't, come back together and come up with a new solution. And you can offer some ideas if it feels right, but try not to take the lead too much on problem solving for them, because the best thing that you can do is model it for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we've talked about modeling. When a problem arises in your day, how do you like problem solve? Maybe you write it on post-it notes of possible solutions and put it on your fridge or your office wall. Make that more visible to your team, because we're all social learners and your team is watching, and seeing you tackle problems will actually help them develop more motivation and capability to solve their own problems.
That's really good. And I think it's something that they take with them after this. They remember and have visual memory, right? Of like, I saw my parent go through this when they're
Mm-hmm.
29, 30. So yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's something,
So,
it's a
oh,
gift that you can give them right now.
yep.
Yeah,
Yep. And I know it doesn't feel like a lot, but I think it is a
yeah,
lot.
absolutely.
So let's wrap up with this. What is the most important thing for parents to remember right now?
Yeah, I'd say number one is connection in the midst of this crisis is the most important underlying thing of all of this. If we don't feel connected to others, if we don't feel a sense of being seen internally, our internal mental worlds, or safe, or soothed, or secure, our thinking brains pretty much turn off, and we're
Mm,
more likely to act on impulses and survival mechanisms that aren't always appropriate or helpful. So your teen is way more likely to be resilient despite the current circumstances if they have a strong connection with you.
mm,
They really need you to be this bigger, kinder, wiser, and more compassionate person in this relationship, because everything is just gone out the window right now,
mm,
right? And the way you connect with your teen is through empathy, like we mentioned before. So when they show you their vulnerable feelings, even when they're prickly,
mm,
responding with empathy and compassion, it communicates that you're there, that they're not alone, and you have their back.
mm.
Um, and so I really love actually this quote from Brene Brown, if you don't mind me reading
No, would love
it
it. Love
here.
her.
Oh, I know. Let me find it. Yes, Brene Brown. She says this about empathy, because oftentimes people ask, like, what is empathy, right?
Hmm.
It's hard to do. So she says there's no script for empathy. There's no right way or wrong way to do it. It's simply listening, holding space, withholding judgment, emotionally connecting and communicating that incredibly healing message of you're not alone. So there's no script, just
Yeah.
communicating to your team like you're not alone, I'm here for you. But you have to make sure to check in with yourself first. It's impossible for us as adults to offer empathy if we're in that survival mode and experiencing burnout. So if you're not in a good place mentally or emotionally, you need to put on your own oxygen mask before you can help your team put on theirs. So make sure that you have that schedule. You're eating right, you're exercising, connecting, and resting. Make sure that you don't let the things that you valued or that you found important before, like family time, maybe attending a church service, even virtually, or engaging in a hobby, fall by the wayside. Continue to live out the things that are important to you. And also that compassion is a two-way street, being compassionate towards yourself. And because we can't offer that compassion to the teens in our lives if we're not also being kind to ourselves. So self-compassion essentially comes when we acknowledge the pain or the suffering that we're experiencing, accept that the pain and suffering is a part of like the human experience, that we're not alone, and showing kindness to ourselves by using language that we would use with a good friend, like it's gonna be okay, like I'm sorry this is happening, or I care about you. Because when we're able to be kind to ourselves as adults, we're much kinder and more present with the children in our lives.
That's so good, Monica. And I think for sure parents have been so blessed by this. I know even as a parent to an elementary school kid, I have been. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for your wisdom. And if you are a parent and you want to reach out, or you want to get in touch with Monica, or you just want to get in touch with us, just know we are here to support you and pray with you, and would love to help you in any way we can. So you can send us a direct message through Facebook or Instagram, or send us an email at students@tpcc.org. We would love to help you and just pray with you and be here for you and cheer you on, because we believe in you and we have your back. So we love you guys. We hope you have a great Sunday.